Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Finding Yourself podcast, the podcast series centered around movies and TV. I'm your host, Cal Duffy, and in today's episode, I want to talk about a real favorite of mine, a TV show I watch all the time, and I love to death, Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers is an animated TV show that was released in 2011. It currently has 11 seasons under its belt and is showing no signs of stopping anytime soon. There's also been talk of a Bob's Burgers movie being released. When it was first brought up, it was in 2019. However, the creator of Bob's Burgers, Lauren Bouchard, did specify that he didn't want to rush the process of the movie just to get it out. He wanted to concentrate on the evolution of the TV show in the meantime until they were actually ready to make the movie, which is great to see from an animated TV show because I feel like this has happened in the past where animated TV shows have had a long run and then just cashed in with a movie. We saw it happen with the Simpsons movie, which in my opinion does not hold up anymore. And also we saw Family Guy try to do it as well. However, as far as I know, in Family Guy's case, they released this movie straight to DVD and it was basically two episodes back to back. And I think they've done that in the past as well a few times. As a Family Guy fanboy, I know well that Sam McFarlane is a huge fan of Star Wars and has shown that in Family Guy through Star Wars themed episodes. And I do think that there was a straight to DVD release movie feature where they had two episodes back to back of Star Wars themed episodes. And as well as that, they had a two-episode straight to DVD movie release surrounding Brian and Stewie. It was one of those Brian and Stewie road trip episodes. That was a two-parter as well. So yeah, animation shows have done this in the past. So it's nice to see Bob's Burgers take their time and craft out their world and spend time rounding out their characters, fully developing them and exploring them before actually beginning the process of making a movie. Bob's Burgers centers around a restaurateur, Bob Belcher, and his weird, wacky, but loving family as they try to turn their mediocre burger restaurant into a big success. I haven't had a bad thing to say about this show since I started watching, and I still don't have anything bad to say about it now. To me, this show is just perfect. The show early on introduces this feel good vibe and light and playful tone in every episode, and that continues throughout the seasons. There's not one episode I sat down to watch that I thought was heavy or overbearing. The show establishes its tone and runs with it throughout the seasons, so when I sit down to watch any episode, no matter what season, I know what I'm getting. Bob's Burgers as a show is very consistent, which is very important. It's consistent in its tone, its types of jokes, and in the way they develop their characters. There's not one character on this show that comes across as one dimensional or one note, because every character gets a chance to develop, and we see different sides of characters throughout the seasons. So the show doesn't actually become bland or stale, and no character becomes boring either. I just think every character that we come into contact with in this show is so weird and wonderful in their own way. And Bob's Burgers to me is one of the few shows that I actually watch where I don't actually actively hate any character. There's no character when they come on screen I'm cringing at or I just can't stand. I like all the characters. They're all very well developed. The thought given to each character really comes back to help the show in the end, because as the show progresses in each season they start to introduce different stories with different characters and they start to really expand the world of Bob's Burgers as a show. And because they've given such thought and given such background to each character, when new storylines are introduced with characters who would be considered secondary characters, it isn't boring or tedious to watch, because even though these are secondary characters, they have been given a lot of thought and background to their character. While we're on the subject of characters in this show, I just want to go into the characters of the actual family, because I've watched a good few American sitcoms and the way they portray the family in American sitcoms is always kind of one way. I feel like there's an archetype and blueprint for what the sitcom American family looks like. And to me, Bob's Burgers just throws that on its head and just turns the weird dial up to like 100, which is really cool. Every character in the family, both the parents and the children, have their own little weird, unique qualities as characters, and in a way, this makes them more real. in my opinion anyway. It gives the family a universal relatability, if that makes sense. Like, you could see yourself acting like the characters in the show at some stage or another. When I'm watching it anyway, I can definitely see myself in a few characters. And that's one thing that we always want in a TV show, relatability. To be able to relate to characters and say, oh yeah, I do that, or oh, I act like that sometimes, or that's my kind of humor, that's my kind of sarcasm. And universal relatability is one thing that'll guarantee repeat viewership. If someone can watch a TV show and see themselves in it and relate to the situations that are going on screen, they're going to come back for another episode and another and another. It's one way to guarantee success. And I definitely think that Bob's Burgers has hit the mark with that. I also appreciate the attention to detail that the show has. For example, in the first ever episode of the show, Bob reveals that it's the reopening of the restaurant. This is a small detail of the show, and it's how the show begins. It's the opening premise. But I appreciate the show taking its time to outline why the restaurant has to be reopened in their title sequence. It's a pretty easy thing to miss in the title sequence, because I think many people watch TV shows and they don't pay attention to the opening sequence of the show. They kind of skip through it. But in each title sequence and opening sequence of Bob's Burgers, we are shown the different reasons why Bob's Burgers has had to reopen so many times. And it's little minute details like that that I appreciate about the show. Also, a little fun fact about Bob's Burgers for any hardcore fans out there. I think you'll all recognize that Bob says, oh my god, a lot. Every episode without fail. It's always when he's reacting to something the kids are doing or that someone else is doing, and he's just kind of shocked and appalled or pissed off or just really just tired of someone. Oh my god. I was researching the show for fun because I'm a big fan of it, and sometimes when I'm bored I'll just research fun facts about TV shows that I'm watching at the moment because the fanboy in me wants to know everything about them. In my research I came across an interview with John H. Benjamin. He's the voice actor who plays Bob. He also plays Archer, if anyone's a fan of that show. Well, he disclosed in this interview that whenever it said in the script that Bob had to react to something, there would be no lines there. It would just say Bob reacts. And the first time that Bob had to react to something, John H. Benjamin improvised this. Oh my god. And it sounded so good in the reading and it fit so well with the character that it became a staple signature line for Bob in future episodes. And I just really appreciate that about voice actors and actors who understand their craft enough and understand the characters they play so much to a degree that they're able to improvise lines on the spot and have it be perfectly fit for their character. If you still haven't experienced Bob's Burgers, I would recommend it highly. It's available on a number of streaming platforms like Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Now TV, and Sky. There's 11 seasons. It is so good. Can't recommend it highly enough. If you do try watching it, I hope you love it as much as I do. This has been my review of Bob's Burgers. Again, if you guys want me to talk about anything in particular in future episodes, leave me a comment with a suggestion. And if you do watch Bob's Burgers and you watch it regularly, let me know in the comments who your favorite character is. If you're a fan of this kind of content or want to hear more movie and TV discussions, you might consider subscribing to my channel. I have new uploads each week. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode and thanks for listening.